I was just loaded and partying. I couldn't really hold down a job. I had never like had a license. I wasn't very responsible. I was just kind of like partying and being a loser. And then when I was 25, I smoked meth for the first time. So let me tell you a little bit about my childhood. It was, I don't know, I guess in the beginning, like from what I can remember, it was pretty normal. We moved around a lot when I was younger. My dad took off at a pretty early age, so me and my two sisters and my little brother ended up moving to Texas. And then from Texas, we probably lived there for like a year. We were with my grandma. From there, we moved to Roanoke Park, and that's where I was raised. Yeah, so I pretty much grew up in Roanoke Park, and then once I graduated high school, I moved to Santa Rosa, and then after that, I moved to Sonora with my father. What else do you guys want me to say? Like, I don't know.
Dysfunction within your family?
Oh, lots of dysfunction. There were, well, my mom was a single mom of 4, so not like this is normal or anything, but there was a lot of different men. There was a lot of alcohol, a lot of weird things going on that I probably shouldn't have been exposed to at such a young age. So because of all of that, I think I was also interested in men at a really young age. Being too young. And then I probably started off smoking weed when I was in like 8th grade. And that just kind of opened a window to cocaine and mushrooms. And soon after that, it was like acid, and there was always alcohol also too. I started drinking when I was like 15. So I was always drinking consistently, always, every day. I was like a garbage disposal when it came to drugs. I didn't really have a preference for the longest time, probably until I was like 25. I just did everything. So I was just loaded and partying. I couldn't really hold down a job. I had never like had a license. I wasn't very responsible. I was just kind of like partying and being a loser. And then when I was 25, I smoked meth for the first time. And then after that, it was like, that was my thing. Meth was my drug of choice after that. I wasn't really interested in using anything else. I would, but I didn't really care to. I did a lot of meth. I didn't really have very many friends. The friends that I did have, I used to support my habit. Yeah, I can even with, I don't know, I don't want to say too much about my family.
What's your hesitancy about that? Just respect, or?
Kind of. Well, yeah, basically. My relationships with my sisters too at that point were pretty much just based on like alcohol and partying, doing drugs. They would get drugs from me, and yeah, we all partied a lot together. That was how we connected. That's pretty much how I connected with everyone at that time. So it's a lot different than how my life is now.
What do you think for you, what would be the low point? I mean, what had you know, what was your lowest point? What woke you up and said, I have to make a change?
I had been in an abusive relationship for probably about 2 years before I decided to come to Crossing the Jordan. I was getting beat up. I was getting cheated on. And I was constantly trying to convince everybody that he had a problem and that he needed to go to rehab. And I think his mom even like basically asked me to leave his house at some point, and I didn't leave. I just stayed, like, but I had nowhere to go. And so that's like, when I think back to that, it's embarrassing, because I'm like, who does that? You know, just stay somewhere where they're not wanted. But I really just felt like I didn't have anywhere to go, and I was super embarrassed because I was just being, you know, I was just being a loser and trying to convince everybody else that it was somebody else's problem. But so yeah, after getting my ass beat pretty good quite a few times, I finally decided to leave him and leave where I was at and come to Crossing the Jordan.
Were you, you said they were in an abusive relationship. Was there drugs that were involved for you as well to kind of cope?
Yeah, there were lots of drugs involved all the time. I got my own drugs, but he also provided me with drugs. I did meth, he did heroin. So he always had heroin, and somehow he always made sure that I had my meth. So it was like an on and off type thing. I always kept on going back, and it just sucked. Right before I came to Crossing the Jordan, I felt completely alone. I was super sick. I had MRSA. I kept getting MRSA over and over again, so I think I was probably literally like dying. At that point, I was like disconnected with all of my family. They had all gotten tired of my bullshit. So I was pretty much cut off from them. And that is really what the deal breaker was. I felt like my mom didn't want anything to do with me, and I like couldn't have that. I didn't want that. But yeah, I just really, honestly, I couldn't stand myself anymore. I couldn't stand all the bullshit that I was putting myself through.
Gotcha. What's the next one?
Is it bad that I'm cussing?
No.
Okay. Since I've gotten here about myself, I've learned lots of stuff. I've learned that I don't have to believe all of the bullshit stories that I tell myself. I've learned that I can have abundance, and I can have awesome relationships with awesome women. I've learned that I love women and that I need healthy relationships with women. And so the story that I've told myself for the longest time was that I didn't like women and that I only got along with men, and that's not true. So that's a pretty important, I think, thing to overcome, especially when you're coming from addiction and men and all that stuff. The bullshit stories that I used to tell myself were that I am not good enough, that I'm not pretty enough, that I'm stupid, that I'm not worthy of love. Let me think. I'm sure there's more. Basically just, I'm not enough pretty much in every single way is a bullshit story that I used to tell myself. And honestly, it's so deep in there that I still have to continuously be intentional in talking myself out of those stories. So it's a journey, you know what I mean? It's not like I've arrived. I'm still working on it. My relationship with my parents now is great. My mom's my best friend. The relationship with my father is still kind of, I won't say rocky, but it's slow. He lives very far away. He's in Kentucky. So I actually just talked to him the other day, so that was nice. But yeah, so it's just kind of distant, but it's better than I would have ever imagined it to be. All of my relationships are mended. Yeah. So my vision, to me, is pretty clear. I'll just say I love everything that has to do with fitness, and right now I'm focusing on completing a personal training certification. And I'm also working with the men and women at Crossing the Jordan, leading a boot camp style or high intensity interval workout once a week. I'm pretty much just really into that. But I work at Costco. I love working at Costco too. The opportunity there is amazing. I'm always learning new things. So there's always opportunity to learn and grow, and I just really love that. So yeah. But my vision is for working with people one-on-one or in a group type setting to help them reach their health and fitness goals. That's what fucking sets my soul on fire. I love it.
My name is Jessica Elliott, and this is my full disclosure.